Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Delphine Herman, and I'm the head of regional marketing at Amadeus in Western Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And I'm actually leading a team of very talented local marketing experts. I'm based in Dubai and I've been living here for the past 7 years. So you can imagine that I did quite a few ATMs. And I'm absolutely delighted to be back in person. I was actually going to say that I'm really happy to stand in front of you, but yesterday the AV team, they saw me coming, so they said, no, you sit, because they probably anticipated I was going to go back and forth and do a lot of gesture, would have completely ruined their video setup, so I'm sitting down, but I'm here physically. You're probably exactly like me. For this past year, we've been sitting through hours and hours of video conferences, online trainings, webinars, whether pre-recorded or live. I even had virtual lunches. I don't know if you had those, guys. It's very weird. You don't know if it's a meeting or if it's a lunch, if you have to speak or if you can actually take a bite of your sandwich that's on your desk while you've got about 12 pairs of eyes watching you through their cameras. It's very awkward. Anyway, but today, at least for me, it's the very first time that I'm presenting with a screen. Hi there. How are you?
I don't think
Don't get me wrong, this is not some special effect we have for you. This is a real person. His name is Tom Starr. He's the VP of Global Sales for one of Amadeus's division called Travel Audience, and he's the real expert on the topic that you're going to hear about today. And while I'm in front of you in person in Dubai at ATM, he's facing the difficult challenge to capture your attention. But the topic is fascinating and the man is passionate. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Tom Starr.
Thank you, Delphine. I have to say, with an introduction like that, I'm even excited to hear what I'm going to say. So thank you for the introduction. Welcome to today's presentation. And it's certainly great to be here at the ATM. And I would have obviously loved to be there in person, but I think, as Delphine mentioned, I think next year, certainly, I look forward to being there with you all. A bit about myself. So I've originally from the UK, lived in Australia, and now I live in Germany. I head up the commercial team here at Travel Audience, and I've been involved in global digital media and marketing industry for over 20 years. And so here at Travel Audience, in case you're not aware of us, I mean, as Delphine mentioned, we are part of Amadeus. And as part of Amadeus, we work very closely with global destinations around the world. And we're the global leaders in driving incremental visitors to destinations through sophisticated digital advertising solutions, along with using also unique data insights. And we work with many major destinations of all sizes, both national, regional, and city. And today, we wanted to go through a presentation on rebuilding travel. And I can assure you, Delphine, just like yourself, certainly for me, normally I'm used to doing presentations in person, but this hasn't been the first virtual event this year. And I'm certainly very much looking forward to doing these again next year in person. But, I guess like many of us, I personally can't wait to be able to return to traveling more frequently again. And so are we ready to travel? That desire to travel is not only echoed in different conversations I've been having with many of my colleagues, with partners, with friends. It's also signaled by data and insights that we work with here at Travel Audience. Every air search, or when someone is looking for a flight or something to travel, it's a signal of interest to travel, and it indicates to us that there are consumers out there feeling ready and excited to travel again. Typically, the very first stage of any travel begins with the planning and researching process. Even before travelers get on that plane to start their trip, they're sending a vast number of signals about their preferences, the different destinations that they're considering, their desired way and time of travel, and in some cases, even more. That's why we recommend to all of the clients that we work with globally to always analyze online air travel search insights on a regular basis, to track and to understand demand to their destination, and to plan promotional and advertising activities accordingly. The visitor journey, it takes us through different stages from that initial inspirational phase to the buying, the booking, traveling and experiencing, to later maybe even sharing with others the post-trip highlights on social media. As you can see, this journey is split into the various stages that are closely linked to different data insights that help us to plan and optimize digital advertising campaigns, offering relevant choices of trip and holidays, and even in-destination activities, and could also be off the beaten track places to further enrich the traveller experience. With travel resuming in some markets, but still restricted in others, it's crucial to maximize the potential of your destination during the inspirational phase by identifying and growing demand and adapting to marketing activities accordingly. As part of Amadeus, we're very fortunate to have access to unique online air travel search trends from online travel agencies, OTAs, that give us insights into what, how, when travelers are searching for. And I guess I might even just ask Delphine, have you had any recent travels, that you've been planning, or something that you're looking forward to sometime soon?
Well, actually, I did, Tom. I was very fortunate to be able to travel less than 2 months ago. I went to the Maldives, which is an amazing destination, by the way, but it's also one of the only accessible destinations nowadays from the UAE. But I can tell you that before booking my trip, I did a lot of research, and I followed up the news and the updates on the restrictions, both in my country of departure, but also in my destination.
Yeah, I can assure you, I've had the same experiences, and I imagine a number of us have as well. And you're not the only one. I coming originally from the UK and Australia and living in Germany, I'm always seeing what's happening in those markets and trying to understand what the changes are to those air travel corridors as and when they happen. So to use an example of the UK demand to the UAE, what I'd like to share with you is how that has evolved through the demand and how that might be shaped by announcements of safe travel corridors. The percentages are referring here to the average volume increase after each announcement versus before the announcement. And by staying on top of the travel insights, you can ensure that your destination is top of mind for all the potential travelers. The pandemic, it remains a volatile, and being part of the travel industry, we're committed to rebuilding travel, supporting our customers to reconnect with travelers and bring visitors back. So travel continues to be a major driver of global progress and prosperity. And that's why last April, we decided to provide support to our destination marketing organization partners, or DMOs, around the world by, during this challenging period, and helping them to build a pathway to recovery. What we wanted to do was to ensure that destinations can secure confidence, consumer confidence, and be well placed when the demand for travel inevitably returns. For this purpose, we came up with recovery reports to provide insights into global travel trends and covering main metrics related to actual performance of their destination. And as countries worldwide roll out the COVID-19 vaccines, the industry is looking towards recovery in some markets. There is hope that travel will soon resume in a safe and responsible way. But even after the borders will be open again, some destinations might face two main challenges on their way to rebuild travel: increased competition and decreased demand. In order to drive a strategy addressing your competition, it's important to understand who you are competing against. Delphine, are there any destinations that would come to your mind that would compete with the UAE?
Compete with the UAE? Absolutely none. Well, I've been living here for quite some time, so I'm not entirely objective, but it's a great destination.
Oh, it certainly is, and I can't wait to be back in the UAE. And I can't think of how many times I've been there to catch up with family and friends. But it's a tricky question, and you know, I think yes, of course, every potential visitor might have their preferences and biases. But in the current situation, when traditional competitive factors such as seasonality, for example, are not that relevant, it's even more important to get an overview of the competitive landscape. Insights into travelers' search behavior can be very useful to define your competitors. Knowing what other destinations travelers are considering gives you an insight into who you're competing with. If you go one step further and analyze the demand behavior that travelers show when searching for competitors, you can adapt your offer and advertising to then convert these travelers. In order to define the competitors for a certain destination in the most precise way, we usually combine the Amadeus search data with data from our data partners. These insights give us an opportunity to build a bigger picture of similar destinations for a certain market. And this example shows similar destinations to Dubai that travelers from the UK have in mind. So the vertical axis represents the level of similarity to the destinations to Dubai, whereas the horizontal one shows the search volume. As you can see over the years, Maldives and Mauritius, as well as Doha and Muscat, would strongly feature within that competitive landscape, with some other destinations changing, as you can see on the graph. Taking into consideration similar destinations in the eyes of potential visitors definitely needs to be considered when conceptualizing marketing campaigns and monitoring on a regular basis. Coming to the second challenge, decreased demand is connected not only to the fact that travel is currently restricted, it's also about the traveler confidence. It's crucial to rebuild travelers' trust and confidence, reassure them about the safety and convenience to travel by informing them that the destinations are safe and eager to welcome visitors back when the time is right. In this way, destinations are able to stimulate and to grow demand and to eventually convert it. But how can I know when the time is right? Well, we've mapped out our demand from top origin markets for the UAE. It's based on year-to-date demand for traveling in 2021 and benchmarking average growth for the UAE with global growth trends at the origin level. The vertical axis represents how active global markets were, searching for different destinations around the world for traveling in 2021. The horizontal axis shows demand for the UAE from those markets for this year. The plot chart identifies the origins that are showing better than average performance, both globally and for the destination. Those markets which are above the vertical line could already be contenders for launching promotional orientated campaigns, as they're showing better than average demand volumes for the destination. Some are performing well both globally and for the destination, and this is shown in the top right, while others are showing good performance in relation to the UAE, but performing on a global trend as shown in the bottom right. But let's take a closer look at each one of these segments. So the first segment here, these markets have a high potential and should be closely monitored as they have your destination top of mind, even though their global performance is still below average. It might be that a signal that travelers from those markets need some extra reassurance. Campaigns aiming to inform travelers, rebuild their confidence would be a good way to stimulate demand in these particular markets. In our next segment, these markets could benefit from inspirational or awareness-orientated campaigns, as they're actively making plans for the future right now, but your destination is maybe not amongst their top destination choices. These travelers still need to be inspired before you'll be able to convert them. And then here, you'll see the below average performance, both to your destination and globally. This indicates that these markets need both inspiration and also reassurance. Whichever markets we're focusing on, we should bear in mind that under these unprecedented circumstances, there's a stronger need than ever to remain and to be top of mind for travelers. And finally, coming to the last segment, these markets are active on the global level right now and are also highly interested in your destination. This indicates that those markets with high demand to your destination are travel ready, and they'll be the first candidates to convert. Therefore, performance-orientated promotional activities can really help you to catch and convert the demand in these markets. Our primary goal is always to help destinations to identify when is the right time and the right markets so that they can grow and convert the demand and to bring visitors back. Rebuilding travel starts with that initial booking that will be later followed by traveling and experiencing a beautiful destination. By utilizing data, we wanted to show that every market can benefit from reassuring messaging, inspiration, as well as promotional activities. Digital advertising is a dynamic and a relevant way to stimulate, to grow demand, to move forward conversion readiness. It's all about the right type of message sent to the right user at the right moment of time. Monitoring new trends and adapting activities with changes across a competitive landscape and consumer behaviors shifting. It's crucial for destinations to monitor new trends and to adapt their plans and activities. By looking at the booking data, we have again some interesting insights that support emerging travel trends.
Tom, now looking at this slide, actually, we can see that there's quite a few European origin markets that are already surpassing their 2019 volumes of searches or on the way to. It's pretty encouraging, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting when we get to look at the data into more detail like this. Indeed, it might be useful for the destinations to see how the demand from different origin markets is comparing to 2019 volumes and to address it accordingly within their marketing plans. You can see this stream is known as the next slide here.
Revenge travel. Revenge travel, so that's about spending more money, right? We could even say splurging on travel.
It is, and we're seeing this particularly right now because this trend, it's all about people spending more money because they haven't been able to for so long, and therefore they're taking that revenge. So when looking at that data, we wanted to increase, we can see that there's an increased share of both first and business class bookings. And that's certainly a trend not only worth tracking, but also addressing when planning campaigns. Specific segments like luxury travelers can be targeted with the right combination of data and also technology.
Oh, workations. I must say that I'm a big fan of these extended stays, so workations or pleasure, that we could call them. At least I was before the pandemic, and I cannot wait to be able to do that again in those amazing destinations that we hopefully will travel to again for work, but that we'll get some time to enjoy as well.
Absolutely, I agree. You know, combining some working days with holidays in a beautiful location would definitely suit me. And you know, in the case of the UAE, you know, I certainly would be love to add on some extra days, and I hope to do that next year at the ATM. But you know, it's interesting if we use the UAE as a market. When we're looking at the international markets, we can see that there's been an increased share of one-way tickets out of all bookings, and that's increased by 30.3%. And in the case of 90-plus day tickets out of all the return bookings to the UAE, that's jumped by 144%. So, you know, there's definitely, you can see that that's certainly something which is happening. And we can see that workations are a prominent trend, especially for the major European markets when we check a share of bookings for 90-plus day stays. Monitoring and understanding these types of trends means that destinations can adapt their service, their activities, launch special promotions or campaigns to tap into this new source of demand and interest. So I guess to wrap up here, you know, to rebuild travel, you know, the things which I think are really important to focus on is firstly to make sure you're tracking and you're understanding the demand. To grow demand by reassuring and inspiring potential future visitors to your destination. To convert the demand when the time is right, and to monitor the new trends and to adapt to, your activities accordingly, because the world is moving, changing a lot quicker than it ever has done before, and we need to make sure that we're reacting to those changes in the market.
So, Tom, does it mean that next year you'll be here with us at ATM? And I heard you're going to add some workation days, right?
That would be fantastic. You know, I saw a great ad, a video inspirational advertisement trying to tell me to go and work in the UAE, and I did give it a considerable thought to go and spend extra time as a workation. And I really believe next year you'll find me there for not just a few days, but a bit longer. So looking forward to being there in person.
We hope so. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Delphine. It's great to have you here today, and also to help with the session. So I guess just to sum up, you know, certainly we've been working with many global destinations across the world, and I'm sure many people might have some would like to have some questions to answer, and you're welcome to contact me directly. I did want to provide everyone my email address here. And you know, I'd be delighted to have a conversation, as well as all the members of my team would obviously also be delighted to have a conversation. We've also uploaded some really insightful travel trend reports, which I think would be really useful, and they're available on that ATM link, which is listed up here. And we also have a number of great resources on our website, which I think destinations and anyone who's involved in marketing will find particularly useful here. So again, you know, that's some resources here. And, you know, I guess as we go through the recovery period and we are starting to things really start to change, you know, for us, we're here to support our industry, and we'll be delighted to have a conversation certainly after this event today. But we do have some time to answer any questions in case any members of the audience or perhaps even someone has sent in any questions. Happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions? There's actually a mic available for anyone who would like to ask Tom a question. Don't be shy. I think you need to go over there. You know, you've got a mic at at the end of the room. So we have one question, Tom.
Hi, can you give us an idea about what are some of the sources of your data?
So we work, we have our own data, which we have Amadeus search data, and we also have we also have data from a number of our data partners that we have, who we run campaigns with. So we're able to utilize that data to then be able to to run the campaigns and to look at the insights.
Thank you. Do we have another question for Tom? No. Actually, Tom, I see our audience is a bit shy. I have a few questions that we are being asked quite regularly by our customers, and I'd like to ask you a few if you don't mind. And I guess the most obvious one would be, why should we advertise if travel is still restricted? What do you think about that?
It's a great question, and it's one that I have heard a number of times. And I think in this changing environment, you need to ensure that you're still going to be consistently being aware in the marketplace for when people are ready to travel. And I think, as I showed in the presentation earlier, once we see that we go back to some return in terms of travel, we can see that demand. There's going to be a lot of demand for competing destinations. So you need to make sure that you're top of mind for that consumer to come to your destination. And I'd really probably encourage inspirational campaigns. If you can't drive performance right now because your market's maybe not open, I would really focus on making sure that people are aware of your destination and that they need to come to your destination and the reasons why.
And actually, you're talking about inspirational campaigns. So what type of advertising should we consider for an inspirational campaign?
You can obviously run display campaigns, but for me, I feel video is a great platform to really to show and to highlight your destination. We've worked with a number of destinations who've had some really amazing video campaigns to just really to inspire and to drive that inspiration for that potential consumer. And they've had some really good feedback and some really good, I guess, feedback from consumers, and we can start to see that the market is starting to change. So I would focus on video.
It's true that it's something that I've heard quite a few times, and it was actually mentioned in the Google session yesterday, the fact that videos work well. But how do you measure the success or the performance of the videos in such campaigns?
Well, we can look at the views. We can see how often people have actually been how it's been targeted. We can see the performance, and we can track that in-house. So we're always optimizing campaigns to make sure that it's getting the results that's required. And that's the good thing about the digital media that we offer, that we're able to go and to track those campaigns' performance and to make sure it's working for our destination partners who we work with.
Thank you very much, Tom. Do we have more questions from the audience?
Hi, Tom. I just have a question for you. Basically, you mentioned that in order to measure success for the campaigns, you look at the views. Just wanted to ask you if you can give us just a number in terms of the view-through rate you guys have, and what's the conversion rate, and if you have a case study that we can look at to actually, like to have an idea of your campaign performance.
Yeah, I've got many case studies. I just don't have one that I can actually share right here today. And I'd be more than willing to, if anyone wants to reach out to share a specific case study. But we work very much with the individual markets, and we're driving conversion and to see that conversion there. Just right now, I just don't have the particular case study. But if you were to go to our website, we do have a lot of data reports and also some case studies. And if you wanted to reach out to me directly, I'd be more than happy to share some case studies with you.
Thank you to our great presenter, Tom Starr, and thank you again to all of you for attending. I wish you a lovely day.